Welcome everybody to all the one of you who's watching live. I don't know where everybody else could be on December 31st at night. I don't know what people would possibly be doing on New Year's Eve, but thank you, Mr. Plop, for... Oh, Chicken's Kill's here too. Excellent. Okay, we've got more than one person. Good. I assume most people are getting ready, going to New Year's parties and whatnot. But the reason I'm doing this on an odd Thursday, which I usually don't, is because last Tuesday, or this Tuesday, we tried to make some Minecraft. In fact, let me go over to the code a little bit. We tried to make Minecraft, and, well, we ran into some technical issues, and I was unable to get past a certain point. I have since fixed those issues. What I think it was is when I created the project, it created the project using Java 5, which I do not have on this computer. Or at least I don't think I do. I changed it to Java 7 and everything seems to be working. So we're going to continue on from where we left off. I'm going to go ahead and do a short review of what we did so far. I have added a few things to the code, and I'll explain them. There's not that much that I've added. So we're making Minecraft. Actually, it's going to be, it's not going to be Minecraft, but it's going to be something very similar, where a player can move around and mine out blocks from the ground and place them anywhere. And so one of the objects that we need, can I say your name? I don't know why you guys do this to me. No, I can't say your name. I hope I answered your question. Okay, but anyway, so we made our block object, and our block object, or our block class, is going to represent each individual block in the world. So Minecraft is this huge grid of cubes, essentially. They're called blocks. So this class is going to represent each single block. We have, no, I didn't change this class at all. So then we have our block grid. So this is the entire array of blocks that make up the entire world. So it's a three-dimensional grid, three-dimensional array. And we generated it here, but there was actually a bug, I believe right here. No, it was down here. Sorry, this code was fine. So if you were writing this with me from last time, you're going to have to change stuff down here. Right here. This used to be blocks... Oh no, it was up here. This used to be blocks XYZ when we were creating the blocks, but it was only creating the block at the same place every single time. What pack am I using? What do you mean, what pack am I using? But I've changed this to block IJK because these are the variables we're iterating on. X, Y, and Z are constant. We want to generate every block. So I had to change this. This is block IJK now. And then, so that's the block grid. I haven't changed that at all. What's this? My utilities. Oh, okay. This is the code to make the box, make each individual block. Chicken's Kill has said that guy's name in chat, like a boss. The only things that I did here are our utilities class is going to handle our asset manager. Oh, what IDE? I'm using, it's basically NetBeans. It's called JMonkey Platform. It comes with JMonkey Engine, which is the 3D engine that I'm going to use. But it's just NetBeans with some plugins. That's all it is. It's NetBeans. But it's called JMonkey Engine. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can, no, you can't see it up there. It's a little bit above the thing. So our utilities class is going to keep track of this object called Asset Manager. We're getting the Asset Manager from our application from JMonkey Engine. So we're just giving it to the utilities class using the set. And then anywhere in our code, we can use the get and get our Asset Manager. You need the Asset Manager to load textures and materials and things like that. So that's why we did that. And so I changed a little bit of the code here. We're using utilities Asset Manager to load the textures onto each. This make box basically makes one of the blocks in the world. It puts it in the world. So the main method, or the main class rather, sorry, is where a lot of the changes were made. So what I did was I added this variable. It's a boolean called wire mode. You'll see how this is used later. And right here we had this line of code where we actually generated our world. But I had to add this one because it wasn't being added to the scene. So we're adding it to the root node. Everything that you want to see in your scene has to be on the root node, or something that's attached to the root node. So I added this line here. I also added an ambient light, because the directional light will only light up polygons facing a certain angle. It will not show us the other side. So I want a little bit of lighting even on places that don't have light on them, so I added this ambient light, these two lines right here. And then this thing, this get debug listener, this is how I'm going to create what's called an action listener in JMonkey. An action listener basically helps you with your key bindings. You tell it, I did such and such command, where such and such is a string. And then whenever the user presses that key, whatever key you want it to be, you can do custom code in here. So if I hit the space key, I put my code maybe to jump or whatever. I put it in here. So this is a skeleton. This doesn't actually do anything, but we're going to add to it a little bit later. And toggle wireframe, I actually filled in the logic. So I'm going to want to be able to turn wireframe mode on and off. Right now, if I run it, you'll see that everything is solid. These are all the blocks that we've generated for our world. I'm going to move. I need to change the movement speed of the camera. So it's a pretty big thing. It's 16 by 16 by whatever I said. 16? Is it? And then, well, Clone Style doesn't like my brace indentation. Maybe I should probably change it for the streams. A lot of people seem to be used to the other way. But anyway, this is our world so far. And at the top is we have the better lighting. You can kind of see the rest. So this is our world. But we don't have a way to see the actual polygons themselves. It just looks like a big brick, right? So I added this wireframe logic. So I'm going to explain what this does real quick. Go away. On each spatial in JMonkey, you can do what's called a depth-first traversal. And if you've taken any kind of math class, you probably know what this is. This basically goes through the entire tree of the root node, so the whole scene. And the scene graph visitor, don't worry about that. But it's going to call this method on every object that it sees, on everything in the scene. So all we're going to do is, if it's a geometry, if it has polygons, what we're going to do is, this is just some Java casting, and we're just going to set the wireframe mode of no raw OpenGL. No, I'm not sending straight to OpenGL. Sorry, that's a little too hardcore. But anyway, we're gonna set the material wireframe. This is a property on materials. You have a bunch of things that you can do on materials. You can set the alpha, the blend mode. You can set the culling mode. All this other neat stuff that if you want to learn more about, you can read online articles. But we just want to see wireframe, so I'm using the set wireframe. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bind this to a button. So if name, now I haven't actually set up any key bindings yet. So this code is not going to do anything right away. So toggle wire. And all we're going to do is call that method. That's all we're going to do. Okay. But the thing that I really need to do is set up my key bindings. And the way you do that is, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I have code from one of my other projects over here on the other window. And all you got to do is you got to do input manager. Let's see, set up mappings. If I was making like a full-scale game that was going to have tons of code, I would definitely put this in my own method or maybe even my own class. In fact, over here, you may be able to see on this top thing, this is actually its own class. All the key bindings are handled by their own class in this other game. So what we're going to do is input manager dot add mapping. So the first thing you tell it, this is specific to JMonkey, the first thing is going to be the name of the mapping, which is some string, whatever string you want. So it's going to be toggle wire. And then the second thing you do is the trigger. You can have mouse triggers for the mouse, key triggers for the keyboard. I think you can have button triggers for joysticks and stuff. We're going to do a key trigger. I think it has to be new key trigger. Is it new key trigger? Let me see. Yeah, new key trigger. And the input is a key input dot, these are constants, and it lists all the keys that you can bind to, which is basically everything on the keyboard. So to toggle wireframe, I think, what are we going to use? Let's do F8. F8 is a good wireframe thing. So when I press F8 and import all my code, do I use C++ for game development? Not really. Almost everything I do is either Java or in RPG Maker they use Ruby. I used to use RPG Maker a lot, not so much anymore. But a lot of people do use C++, and there are lots of reasons why. You probably should use C++ for most things, but JMonkey has really shown off how powerful Java can be. Java is not really as slow as it used to be anymore. C++ is not super duper faster than Java. It's a little bit faster than Java, but not really that much. So I'm using Java because most people who are learning to program learn through Java. So you don't want to do C. You don't want to have to deal with pointers and things like that for new people. So we've added our mapping, and so now if I press F8, hopefully I've wired everything up properly. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, one thing I want to do is I want to change how fast the camera goes, which is a Flycam. Flycam is something that comes for free. That's the default camera. Set move speed, and we're going to make it 25F. So 25 units per second. I think the default is 1. Yeah, web development's, it turns out web development's pretty fun. That's what I do at work. Alright, so I'm going to open this up. Here we go. Okay, so my movement speed is way better. And now I have my giant brick. Now this is actually a how big is it? 16 by 16 by, where did I create it? Where did I create it? 16 by 16 by 16. That's how big this thing is. There are actually 16 individual blocks on each axis. And so if I press wire mode, it didn't do it. Alright, I gotta find out why it didn't do it. Oh, it's because I didn't give it the controller. So I've added the mapping, but I didn't actually tell it what to do when it gets that mapping. So I need input manager dot add listener. So I do the listener first, and then it's the mapping names, which is going to be toggle wire. Yeah, that should be right. Get debug, not denug. Alright. Is this bad? Will this create a different listener for each thing? Actually, what I want to do is, I probably don't want to call it... How did I do it over here? All the listeners are where? I'm looking at my my other code. Where did I actually put the listeners in this code? Maybe I'll show you guys. There's no state secrets in this code. Don't worry about it. So let's see, this is all the code. So I have one that does the login keys, which are different from the chat keys, which are different from like everything else. Where's my actual, they're in the globals, aren't they? Let's see, M, what's M? M is the main method. Oh, okay, so yeah, I only want to call this once. So this is actually going to be a action listener debug listener equals get debug listener. Good. And so it's just going to be this. The reason I did that is because if I do this for each key binding, it's going to create this object for each time I bind a key. But I don't want that because that's a memory leak. What I want to do is just have one listener and assign all the mappings to it. Alright, so now let's see if it works. Who's my Final Fantasy VII voice project guy is PMing me. I'll get it later. Alright, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit, get to the top of this thing, and I'm going to hit the wire key. Aha! Okay, well, I have to hold the button. I forgot one thing. So here's our wireframe. Actually, let me go fix that right now. What's happening is when it's flickering, I have to hold the button because here, when it's calling this action, this is the code that runs when I hit whatever key. This is the name of the binding, in this case toggle wire. The key pressed is true if they pressed it and false if they unpressed it, but this code runs for both. So what I'm doing is I'm just running this code twice if I just tap it because it's doing the key down and the key up at almost the same time. So what I want to do is if it's toggle wire and key pressed, this means it'll only run if the key is being pressed down, not if it's being pressed up. And the TPF, that third parameter, that's the time per frame. You'll see that a lot in the update loop when we get there. So I'm going to zoom out and go up. Alright, so here's our thing, wireframe mode. So you can see we're actually rendering every single block. And there's actually a texture bug, well not really a bug, but you'll see. If I go up here, close enough, see how the textures are flickering? This usually happens in 3D when you have two polygons taking up exactly the same space. So we have a bug in our code where it's actually not putting the blocks in the right place properly. And I don't know why it does that. So this is going to be in our block, actually no, it's going to be in utilities. So there's something I didn't realize, and it's right here. When we're making the boxes, I gave it dimensions 1, 1, 1, but that's not actually the dimensions of the box, that's the radius of the box. Yeah, Z-buffer fighting. It's basically what it is. The polygons are in the same space, the exact same positions, and the renderer does not know what to do at all. Z-buffer and depth buffer are the same thing. Z-buffer is usually for 2D, but yeah, it's the same thing. So the polygons are in the same place. The engine doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know, do I draw this texture or that texture? So it just kind of does whatever it wants. But anyway, when you make a box in JMonkey, it turns out that each of these is the radius of the box, not the dimensions of the box, like overall size. And we've determined that our grid, each box is going to be 1 unit apart. So these actually have to be 0.5. So what was happening is each box, half of it on each axis was intersecting with another box. That's what was happening. Float, it's a float, that's a float. Alright, so now we're going to run it and we're going to see that texture thing should go away. Alright, also our world looks bigger because all the boxes are stretched out. Whoops. Okay, so here's the top of our world, and you can see that the textures are no longer flickering. Canadian 1010, I can pronounce that. How you doing? I hope you're going to have a happy New Year's. Obviously you're not at any party, or maybe you are, I don't know. So you can see we fixed our texture problem. The boxes are no longer intersecting each other, and the wireframe looks, well, it pretty much looks the same. Now this is not efficient. Okay, we've got 16 by 16 by, is it 8? Do we have 8? Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it looks like 16 by 16 by 16, which means something went wrong in our world generation code. We're telling it the ground height. And the ground height, I'm setting it to 8. If ground height is less than or equal to y, what did I do on the make a block? Is it if type equals error, return null? I don't know. It's rendering the air blocks as grass also. Did I actually set the type here? Here. Oh, the set type is 0. Wait, if ground height is less than or equal to y. Oh. That's our bug. It should be j. J is what we're iterating through. So now if I run it, it should look half as tall. It's actually shard, singular. My original nomiker, I guess, was Shard Phoenix. That name was taken on what Twitch TV used to be. I think it was like Justin TV or something. It was the same platform. That name was taken, so I just tried a bunch of other names that didn't work, and I just randomly made up this one. It's actually a reference to Guild Wars. Shards of O'Reilly, because there's an area in Guild Wars called Shards of Ore. Kind of a little trivia, but anyway. So now our thing is half as tall. So these are the 8 blocks on the bottom that our wireframe mode is beautifully rendering. And on the top we're going to have 8 layers of air which don't get rendered. I've been programming for since I was 14, which would have been 14 years. I'm 28. You double 14 and that's what you get. Yeah, 14 years, long time. So anyway, we've finished our world rendering code. It draws tiles. But like I said, this is not optimized because if you think about it, we don't really need to draw the ones in the back, right? We only need to draw the ones that are closer to the camera, the ones we can see. With wireframe off, we can't see what's on the other side, right? So I'm going to add a little bit of optimization to this. And it's going to be in our block grid, in the render blocks. I guess. I mean, this is what I do for a living, so I guess I'm an expert. I usually don't think of myself like that because we're always learning. My voice sounds like a 17-year-old. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. So, is it because I'm so young and energetic? Anyway, here's where we're going to change our code. So what we're going to do is, here's the code for our surrendering blocks. First of all, if the block is air, we're going to ignore it, because we don't render. Oh, young and energetic? Well, thank you. It's a compliment, apparently. Alright, so if it's air, we're not going to render it. That's what the continue means. It means go to the next one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check. Actually, there was one way I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it a completely different way, actually. Yeah, I'm going to make a new method. This is going to be interesting. I didn't originally want to do it this way, but I will. We'll cut right to the chase. It's going to be, where would I put it? Make box, actually, we'll keep the, no, we don't need the make box. Here's the plan while I think about how to write the code. Let me answer this question. Jadon asks, are you hoping to clone Minecraft into your own code or just code something similar? I code something similar. This is not going to go into Minecraft at all. Minecraft is completely separate, and I've called this project YoursCraft. I don't know if you noticed this up here. It's called YoursCraft. It's going to be like a very simplistic Minecraft knockoff. I don't intend to sell it. This is just for the stream, so people can kind of learn the basics of 3D programming. Hopefully people are following along, or maybe they will if they rewatch it on the archive or on YouTube or whatever. Here's the plan that I want for this code. Instead of drawing the entire cube, we're just going to draw the individual sides of the cube. So a block is what it's called. So if we have a block and it's got a block on top of it, we're not going to draw the polygon that's facing up. Makes sense? This strategy falls apart if you use see-through cubes, but we're not going to use see-through cubes. Okay, we're going to use opaque blocks. So if there's a block and it's got a block on top of it, we're not going to render in that direction. We're only going to render the sides that are touching air, basically. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So for int I equals 0, I'm already using, no, I'm not using I less than 6. 6 is the number of sides on a cube. I plus plus. Is this the best way to do this loop? Publish source code. I can put this somewhere. This is actually the IDE I'm using. It's called JMonkey Platform, but it's just NetBeans with some plugins. If you go to jmonkeyengine.org, JMonkey Engine is the graphics engine we're using. If you go to jmonkeyengine.org, they have a free download for the libraries, for the engine, and for the IDE. And it's easy project setup. You just right-click, new project, JMonkey, and basic game, and you've got a project template. You can run it, and you're in a mostly blank world. I think there's like a cube in the middle. But anyway, I'm using basically NetBeans to answer your question. Instead of, let's actually not use a loop. The top quad. So this strategy that I'm talking about for rendering these blocks now, instead of just drawing a block, we're going to draw the individual sides. And each side in JMonkey, like a flattened square, is called a quad. Okay? So if, what's the world called? Blocks. If blocks, so this is the one, so it's X, Y, and Z. So if blocks X, Y plus 1, Z is get type equals type, what's it under? Block type air. Then we render that quad. I'm going to write a little bit of pseudocode in here. So if the top of this block is touching air, meaning there's nothing above it, then we want to render the top of this block. And we're going to do this for each individual side. We're going to run into a lot of problems, though. Hopefully you've noticed that this y plus 1, what if we're already looking at the topmost cube? This is going to throw an out-of-bounds exception. Oh, clone style did pick it up. As I was saying it, obviously there's a delay on the video. You said it just as I said it. Good catch. I was hoping somebody would catch this. Yes, so when we get to the top of the array, this y plus 1 is going to give us errors. So what we want to do is if y is less than blocks x length, and the rest of that stuff. Less than length minus 1. Wait, if it's equal to the length, yeah, length minus 1. So here's what, yeah, that's right. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. That should be okay. We'll find out when we run it. If it crashes, we know something's wrong. And so then we're going to render that quad. And I'm just going to copy this for each direction. So that's the top, bottom, left, right, front, back. The bottom quad. I do have a YouTube channel. If you scroll down a little bit, I believe there's a link to it. The left quad, the right quad. This is the boring part of the stream where I just basically copy, paste. Oh, wait, left, right, front, back. I probably should name these like plus Z, minus Z. So the top quad, the bottom quad is if y is greater than 0. The left quad is if x is, let's see. Well, hold on. The check is going to be if blocks of x minus 1. And then, let's see, so blocks x minus 1. So we want x minus 1 to be greater than 0. Okay, and this one's going to be if x is less than this same thing. Actually, it's just going to be blocks length. And blocks x plus 1. Okay, what happened? Oh. Hit my insert key. I hate when that happens. So we've got the left and the right. I hope I've done that correctly. And the front is going to be the z-axis. I really should keep the dimensions of the whole world up here, or have it a constant. Z is, let's see, so this is the front. So positive z is towards the camera. So this is going to be the, towards the camera. This is going to be the upper bound. So z is less than blocks x, y, length minus 1. And blocks x, y, z plus 1 is air. Is air. And the back quad is just going to be the opposite of this, if z is greater than 0. And we got to fix this thing over here. Okay, so that's minus 1. And now we have to do the code to render the quad. And this code is mostly going to be the same. I'm just going to make it down here real quick. This code's going to be old. We don't need that. Quad q equals new quad. And the dimensions of the quad, as you may guess, are going to be 1 and 1. Import it. Geometry, geom, because every shape has to be a geometry object in JMonkey, equals new geometry q. Import it. Geom dot, I don't actually know the default rotation of geometries. This has to be a, and then node is our return object. I have to add everything to that. So node dot attach child geom. We also have to give it a texture, which we're going to do. But first, I actually want to do a quick test. I'm back in the main method. I'm going to set the camera's start position. Location. Because we're starting inside the world, and I don't want that. Let's start at x, y. Actually, let's make the y 10, and then z would be 20. So the camera is actually going to start. For some reason, I'm thinking this is going to not render the outside faces. Oh, we didn't finish the code. I hope that was a joke. Yeah, we didn't finish the code. What I'm actually doing right now is I want to see which direction the quad by default faces, because I don't actually know. And we're just going to make a big quad. He's not going to render the outside faces. Oh, you're right, because if we are on, for example, if we're on the bottom row right here, if we're on the bottom row, y is not going to be greater than 0. So you're right. We're not going to render the last layer in each direction. You're right. We'll fix that later. But right now I want to know how quads work. So we're going to make a quad that's 10 by 10. Just to see what direction it faces. Import it. And then material mat equals new material asset manager. And then common mat defs. What's it called? What is it called? jmonkeyengine.org. I put kmonkeyengine.org. That's what Koreans program in. Okay, we'll go to the wiki. And where's my material definition properties? I know it's down here somewhere. Advanced documentation. All material definition properties. I don't know why this isn't. Oh, it is bookmarked. Derp. I don't know where it is on my bookmarks. Somewhere. It's this one. This is what I want. I'm just going to copy this because I'm lazy. Paste it right in here. Okay, we've got our material. mat.set. It doesn't know what it is because I have to import it. Set color. New. Actually, we'll just do white. It needs a name. It's going to be color or color map. Is it color or color map? This tells you all the things that they can take. Okay, it's a color map. We're just going to give it some random color. Blue is fine. And we're going to see which direction. Oh, I need to attach it to the root node. G.set material to mat root node dot attach child G. Okay, so now we should be able to see it. Which direction do quads face? It crashed. It crashed because our code is wrong here. So we're just going to do return. We're going to skip that code for now. I hate when Java does this. There we go. If 1 equals 1, we're going to return. Oh no, don't do this to me. It was doing this on Tuesday, where it would start running and then it would... what keyboard am I using? This is just like a generic Dell that came with some other computer from a long time ago. It still works. It's kind of loud, right? Okay, let's stop the build. Okay, it didn't like freeze on us. Let's run it. Uh-oh. Did it like run and is behind? It's not behind something. It's definitely not behind that. Let me see if it's like behind this thing. No, it's not behind anything. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean it. It looks like something is still using one of those files. It can't actually build it. That's what it looks like. Yeah, let's stop that and close it. This is what happened on Tuesday, which is why I had to stop. Is it was hanging when it was trying to build. I know. I'm just gonna give it a few seconds. Let me actually hit my start my task manager and make sure nothing wonky is happening. Okay, it looks like nothing wonky is happening. We're going to go ahead and start it right back up. I've actually only cleaned this keyboard once. That first time you clean a keyboard after years of use, and there's like small chunks of potato chips and like hair and stuff in it, it's really nasty how much stuff gets accumulated, you know, over the lifetime of a keyboard. I've only cleaned it out once, and it's never needed another one. Okay. So I'm just going to wait for a little, I'm going to wait about 1 minute for it to like build everything. And okay, I'm getting syntax coloring. That's good. Yeah, hair and skin flakes and chips and all that stuff. Okay. The actual pieces, the actual keys make the same sound as Legos. They're probably made of the same type of plastic. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to clean and build. Okay, it says it's doing it. It doesn't look like it actually is, though. I'm going to check the project settings while it's doing that. I am on JDK 7. I am still on JDK 7. Maybe I did not solve that problem from last time. I did a little bit. We ran it a few times. Alright, what is this? This is yorscraft/build. Alright, I'm gonna delete the folder manually. Hopefully this will fix it so we can continue. No, that's the wrong project. We'll open this back up. My documents, projects, yorscraft build. I'm going to delete that guy right there. Say yes to that. There's a file that's locked in the build directory. This is probably what the problem was last time. Okay, where's Task Manager? I gotta kill whatever's doing that. Let me just, I'm gonna go to this thing real quick. I'm not really taking a break, of course I'm still here. I'm just looking for, maybe you guys can figure out what those equations mean. Wait, are they even there? Maybe you guys can figure out what these equations mean when, oh, we don't need that anymore. Let's see, what tasks on here could possibly be locking my file? Okay, where is, that program is not even open anymore. Oh, there it is. Let me go ahead and close this guy. Trying to fix our technical issue. Let's close Steam, even though that's not the problem. Because what I've got is I've got the Windows, I'm deleting this file progress bar on the screen, and it's not even doing anything. It's just going and going and going. Just like the Energizer Bunny, while I try to figure out which of these processes. Let's close Raptor as well. We don't need that. Raptor is AMD's version of Steam. We don't need it. Okay, what could possibly be locking my file? Let me close Chrome. I doubt it's Chrome, but let's close it anyway. It's not Chrome. I don't have a Java W file open. So Chrome says it's still running. So what's running on Chrome? Nothing? Okay, go away. You know what was running on Chrome? My Twitch chat window. I just lost you guys. But let's see, what else is on here? Let me see what's doing, well, nothing's doing file I/O right now. Man, I really don't want to restart my computer. Alright, let's see. We're gonna get rid of this guy because we don't need it. If the stream dies, it's because I closed something that I shouldn't have. I'm just killing things one at a time until my problem is fixed or until my computer crashes. Windows Media Player Network, we don't need you. I don't know why you're running anyway. Let me actually, why don't I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn on my, I don't have one. How about this one? Monitor, capture, no, we'll do this one. Change it to this guy so you guys can play whack-a-mole with me. There we go, now you can see what I see. I'm going through this list of figuring out what I should kill. So that's ATI stuff, VAST, Control Center. We need that because otherwise our monitors won't work. Explorer, you know what? I'm going to close Explorer. My task manager is going to disappear, but that's fine. Oh, apparently it's not. We're going to wait for Explorer to restart. Or maybe I have to restart it manually. I have to restart it manually. Okay, let's open up that documents folder again. Go to JMonkey Projects, yorscraft, go to the build folder and delete it. That was not the problem. Okay, let me see what individual file is being blocked. I'm just deleting the folders now. That one went away, that one went away. So something in here, one of the main class, is it this one? That one can go away, that one went away. Okay, the block grid class is locked by my operating system. And I don't know what would do that, because JMonkey Engine is not running anymore. So I actually have no idea which of these processes is locking my system. Let me get this guy out here. So what's happening is when I try to build the project, when I try to compile it, JMonkey Platform sees the locked file because it's trying to delete that directory, right? It has to wipe it out and then rebuild the game. But it's not actually doing that. My system idle process is taking 80% of the CPU. Well, unfortunately, I can't kill that program because then I'll blue screen. That's not what I want. What could it possibly be? I'm going to close this. Maybe I shouldn't do that. We're going to close Windows Media Player Network again because apparently it didn't go away last time. Okay, we're going to start closing processes that have disk usage. Let me go over to the this thing, Resource Monitor. All right. The only alternative is just to restart my computer, and that would kill the stream. It's not like I'm really doing anything right now anyway. Disk. Okay, system is still trying to delete it. I said stop. Okay, system's no longer trying to delete that file, but something is. It's already on large. This is all I've got? Alright, well, Chrome is writing because, why is Chrome writing? I already closed Explorer, so that's not it. Alright, let's close this guy. That was my power service. Probably not a good idea. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to restart. So I'll be back. Don't worry, I have an SSD on my on the drive that runs my Windows, so I'll be back in like 50 seconds.